We're holding on the 5th page of the Mimer, page Tav Chav Gimel. I also sent you another Mimer for when we finish this today. We're holding Ois Ches, 3rd paragraph on the page. We were speaking about how the level of the bittul of the person helps draw down the Torah all the way from the essence, and because of that, it's possible for the Torah to come down and do two opposite things. It should be an oiz for the nefesh lekis and tushia for the nefesh bahamis, that it affects the below in such a way that eventually there's the aliyas hatachtoinim le'elyonim at the very same time that it pushes away the things that are negative things. And so now he concludes with בחודש השלישי ביום הזה בו מדבר סיני, אויס חס. וזהו בחודש השלישי גוימר ביום הזה בו מדבר סיני. That in the 3rd month, in this day, which we explained before, is going on Rosh Chodesh, it's going on the day of Rosh Chodesh, in that case, the Rosh Chodesh Sivan, they came to Midbar Sinai, so Chassidus explains, Midbar Moloshoin Dibur. Normal type of Midbar means from the word wilderness, desert. Here he's explaining it from the word speech. What's the idea of speech? V'nikra midbar b'toisefes mem. It's called midbar with an additional letter mem. Lahoyrei shahadibbar hu bebitol ka'oina achar ha'koyre k'mevor ba'aruch ba'drushim. It indicates that the speech is in the way of bittul, like we've been talking about the whole time, that the way how he has to learn is in the way of bittul ka'oina achar ha'koyre tan l'shaynim resecha, that I'm responding and I'm just saying over what Hashem is saying. I don't feel that's like my own saying. So midbar is like misspoil. In other words, it's something on dibur, but it's happening as if by itself. I'm not speaking, I'm not preaching, I'm not talking. It's like I'm being, I am like coming out, speech is coming out from me. By days of Nasa Sinai, the Sinai through this comes about the level of Sinai. Sinai, the Chazal say, why is the Har Sinai called Sinai? So they related that phonetically it sounds the same like the word Sina, meaning hate. That hate descended to the nations of the world. So the way Chassidus teaches that the hate descended to the nations of the world, the simple pshat in the Maimer Chazal is that because of Har Sinai, the nations of the world hate us. But here he explains it's the division between Kedusha and Klippa. It's how we have to put Klippa in its box, keep it away, and be devoted to Kedusha. When the study of Torah is with a way of bittul, so then it becomes, like we said before, a strength and a might for the nefesh lekis. V'tushi al nefesh bahamis. It weakens the nefesh bahamis. That's the sin alumas oilam, to weaken the klippas. The biyar the sin alumas oilam nechlalim gamaguf nefesh bahamis. When we say that hate descended to the nations of the world, that includes also the body of the person. It also includes nefesh bahamis, umas oilam in a broad sense, includes everything that is klippa oriented. To note from the teaching of Baal Shem Tov on the pasuk, when you'll see the donkey of your enemy, and the Baal Shem Tov says, when you will examine and look at it very deeply in the material of that's your body, the materialism of your body, you'll see that he's your enemy. You'll see that he hates the neshama. So this is the same idea of sina to umas ha'oil. Oistes, following that, in that pasuk it says, Vayisu v'mirefidim. They traveled from Refidim, even though many Mefarshim masters, including Rashi, that they traveled from Refidim. They traveled in the previous week's parsha, and the whole story of Refidim, and that's what the whole story with Amalek took place. So, what's this traveling from Refidim now? The Refidim Hashem Sharafadu Yadayim Divrei Torah. Refidim is, as we learned also in the previous Maimer, I believe it was, that their hands weakened from words of Torah. What does it mean it weakened? It doesn't say they stopped learning. Or he wasn't opposing Torah. Even more so, he studies Torah. His study is in a way of weakness. They avoided the midbar who messias atzmai. Through the avoid of midbar that we said before, he has the state of bittul. He is learning in such a way of he travels away even from a weakness in Torah study, in a softening in Torah study, and he does tshuva. Because of and the pasuk continues after he says that they traveled from Refidim via Voyu midbar Sinai goyim neged the heart. They came midbar Sinai facing the mountain. The very fact that initially he was in a not good place, he was softened, he was weakened in Torah. That itself that strengthens him even more in the words of Torah. As we know, tshuva brings to a stronger connection than before. Oisiyud, last paragraph on the page. We could say through studying in Torah this pasuk, the empowerment for traveling from Refidim is even more so that we have even more capability that when we are in a state of Refidim, we should leave that behind. The first time around, what was the empowerment for traveling from the Refidim? Because on Rish Chodesh, like we mentioned earlier in the Maimer, it was completed, the preparations for the giving of the Torah. But it wasn't the actual giving of the Torah yet. At present, when we're dealing with our Refidims, we also have the empowerment of the actual Matan Torah that took place in previous years. And we also have the empowerment from Torah study that follows the giving of the Torah, being the Matan Torah, that through the Torah study now, it's increased and added in the Matan Torah that was then, as we mentioned in Ois Vav, that the Torah study that a Yid does now makes it a new level than just Hashem's everlasting giving of the Torah. Especially since we are already found in the 15th of the month or past the 15th of the month, then the moon is full. Especially we find ourselves on Chamishas B'Shvat, the Rosh Hashanah for the trees, that the trees has to do with Eretz Yisrael, the good and broad land. We have the empowerment to add in Torah study and fulfillment of mitzvahs in an Eretz Yisrael manner, in a broad way, in a good way. In a similar vein concerning tshuva. Like we said, Vayisu Mirafidim is the idea that they're doing tshuva. That the tshuva should be in a way of a good and broad land. The higher level of tshuva, which the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, the higher level of tshuva that he increases. If he used to learn one daf, he learns two dafim, and so on. That's done with great joy. When Yidden do tshuva, immediately they're redeemed. To look to Bnei Yisrael, you will be collected one by one to Bnei Yisrael. That Hashem Himself brings them to the good and broad land in the simple sense. Begula mitzvah shlema de Mashiach tzedkeinu, and the true and complete redemption through Mashiach. Bekarev mamish, speedily mamish.